Look at your hand. Every person alive today, all 8 billion of us, belongs to a single kind of human. One species, the only one left. But it wasn't always this way. For almost all of the last 2 million years, Earth was not a planet of one human. It was a planet of many. Tall ones, tiny ones, humans with heavier bones, bigger brows, brains smaller than a chimpanzee's, and humans who buried their dead in caves we only crawled into this decade. They walked. They made tools. Some of them met your ancestors. Some of them loved your ancestors. And then, one by one, every single one of them vanished until only we were left. This is who they were. And it ends with the question nobody has fully answered. Why only us? We're taught evolution like a straight line. A hunched ape stands up, straightens out, loses the hair, and becomes you. A neat march from there to here. That picture is wrong. The real story isn't a line. It's a bush, tangled, branching, with dead ends everywhere. For most of human history, several kinds of human existed at the same time. They were cousins, not ancestors. They shared the world the way lions and tigers and leopards share it now. Different species of the same family alive together. Roughly 300,000 years ago, when our species first appears in the fossil record, we were not alone. We were one branch on a crowded bush. So how many branches were there? How many kinds of human have existed? The honest answer, and we'll come back to this, is that scientists argue about the exact count. But most agree that when our species was young, we shared the Earth with at least 8 other kinds of human. 8, and we are what's left. Let's meet them. Not the textbook names, the actual creatures, because some of them are stranger than anything you were taught in school. Start with the survivor before us, Homo erectus. Erectus is the great success story you've never heard of. They appeared around 2 million years ago, and they lasted possibly until around 100,000 years ago. That's a run of nearly 2 million years. Our species has existed for about 300,000. Erectus outlived us so far by more than 6 times over. They were the first humans to walk fully like us, the first to leave Africa, spread across Asia, very likely the first to control fire and gather around it. When you picture the original human adventure, a small band walking into an empty continent, that's Erectus. Now the famous one, Homo neanderthalensis, the Neanderthals. Forget the grunting caveman cartoon. Neanderthals had brains as large as ours, sometimes larger. They made tools, controlled fire, wore treated animal hides, cared for their injured, and buried their dead. They survived Ice Age Europe, a place that would kill most of us in a weekend. They were not a failed draft of humanity. They were humans, just a different kind. They vanished around 40,000 years ago. And then the ghost, the Denisovans. Here is how thin the line can be. We didn't find the Denisovans from a skeleton. We found them from a single finger bone in a Siberian cave. And when scientists read the DNA inside it, it didn't match us, and it didn't match Neanderthals. It was a whole third kind of human, unknown to science, discovered from a fragment you could lose in your pocket. We still barely know what they looked like. An entire branch of humanity, almost invisible. And yet, as you'll see, they never fully left. Those were the humans that feel familiar, now the ones that don't. On the Indonesian island of Flores lived Homo floresiensis, nicknamed the Hobbit, and the nickname is earned. Full-grown adults stood around a meter tall, with brains about the size of a chimpanzee's. Tiny body, tiny brain, and yet they made stone tools and hunted on their island. They survived there until maybe 50,000 years ago. How do you get a human that small? The island itself. Trapped on a small island with limited food, large animals often shrink over generations. It's a real pattern biologists call island dwarfing. The hobbits may be what happens when you strand a human on an island and press play for a few 100,000 years. And Flores wasn't the only island doing this. Far to the north, on Luzon in the Philippines, another small human was hiding, Homo luzonensis. We only named them in 2019 from a handful of teeth and bones. They lived maybe 60 to 50,000 years ago with a strange mix of ancient and modern, features including curved finger bones that suggest they still climbed. Then there's the one that breaks the rules, Homo naledi, deep inside a South African cave system, in a chamber so hard to reach that the excavators had to be small enough to squeeze through gaps in the rock. Scientists found hundreds of bones from a species no one had ever seen. Homo naledi had a brain about a third the size of ours. By every old assumption, that's a primitive creature, except the bones were found in a chamber that is extraordinarily difficult to reach. And some researchers argue the bodies were deliberately placed there. If that's true, a small-brained human may have been doing something we thought only we did, caring for the dead in a special place. That claim is heavily debated, and we'll be honest about that in a moment. But the dates stunned everyone. Naledi lived only a few 100,000 years ago, overlapping with the dawn of our own species. A brain, a third of ours, alive at the same time as us. Nobody saw that coming. Here's where this stops being a story about them and becomes a story about you. When our ancestors spread out of Africa, they didn't just walk past these other humans. They met them, and sometimes they had children with them. We know this because those children left a signature, and it's still in living. People today, if your roots are anywhere outside Africa, you are very likely carrying around 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA right now. It's in the genes that shape your skin, your immune system, even how you sleep. The Neanderthals didn't entirely die out. A sliver of them is reading this sentence through your eyes. And the Denisovans, the ghosts we found from a finger bone, their DNA lives on too, especially in people from parts of Asia, the Pacific, and Australia. In some populations, it reaches several percent. One Denisovan gene appears to help people in Tibet survive the thin air of high altitude today. A vanished species is still helping living humans breathe. So when we say these humans went extinct, it's not the whole truth. They didn't all vanish cleanly. Some were absorbed. They live on, scattered and diluted, inside the one species that remained. You are not just the survivor of that ancient world. You are partly made of it, which raises the real question. If we mixed with them, if they were smart, if some lasted until almost yesterday in geological time, then why is there only one kind of human left? Why us? This is the part most videos skip. We won't. First, that number, 8 other species. It's not fixed. Count strictly, keeping only the clearest cases, and you land around 8 or 9 kinds of human total. Count loosely, including every debated and fragmentary find, and the number climbs past a dozen. Some researchers say the genus has held around 20 odd named forms over time. The truth is, there is no official scoreboard. Where one scientist sees a new species, another sees a variation of an old one. The human family tree is drawn in pencil, and it keeps getting erased and redrawn. Some of the creatures we just met are themselves disputed. Whether the Flores hobbit is a truly separate species or a modern human that changed on an island is still argued. Whether Homo naledi really buried its dead, a huge claim, is far from settled. Good scientists disagree out loud right now. And the biggest question of all, why only us survived, has no confirmed answer. Maybe our numbers simply grew and theirs didn't. Maybe we outcompeted them for food and land. Maybe climate broke them and spared us by luck. Maybe we absorbed them until they stopped being separate. It was probably not one reason. It was probably all of them in different places over thousands of years. Anyone who tells you they know exactly why every other human vanished is selling certainty that doesn't exist. Step back and look at the whole thing. For nearly 2 million years, being human meant looking across a valley and seeing another kind of human looking back. Different, but family. That was normal. That was almost the entire human story. We are the strange chapter. We are the first humans in a very long time to be completely alone, the only ones, the whole planet of our kind. Every one of those other humans thought their world would go on. None of them knew. They were the last of their line. And here we are, telling their story, made partly of their DNA, the single branch that happened to make it. So here's the question to carry with you. If there were once many ways to be human, and only one is left, was that survival, or was it just luck? Tell me what you think below. And if your ancestry runs outside Africa, remember, you might be more than one kind of human already. This has been Unstuck. One fact. One question you take with you.